Today is Saturday, November 17th, 2018. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor David vs. Goliath, Episode 8.
Wow, just an amazing episode. The feedback poured in. I think we got a great show. I'm looking forward to hearing what other people thought, what they saw, what their predictions are for where we'll go forward from here, because that was a bomb that went off in Tribal Council, and we know it's going to have repercussions.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah. Any business we need to cover before we dig in?
Nope. Let's just see what the 26 people had to say.
All right. It's like a big Thanksgiving feast. Pete's up first.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Holy cow. Wow. Woo! I am just so speechless, shell-shocked in disbelief, and just so excited. What an awesome episode. And I gotta say, for the Davids being the underdog, anything's possible! From Kevin Garnett of the Boston Celtics when they won the championship in 2008. Good for the Davids there. You know, they pulled a big one there. Huge move. The way the edit was coming out, guys, I really thought Davey was not going to play the idol. But you know what? He had to do it. Look at all those votes on Christian, and Christian would have been right at Ponderosa there. And I think the Davids game would have been over. So good on Davey, sticking with his gut, and he made a great play there. But what I loved most of all was Dan tried to counter, he played his idol for Angelina at Tribal. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but after Probst read, I think it was the second Angelina vote when he said it didn't count, and you noticed the big smile on his face thinking, oh, you know, maybe we'll go to Rocks or whatever. Then all of a sudden, boom, in comes the John vote, and you see the smirk going right off his face from exuberation to exasperation. And I love the shocked faces on Dan. Alec was shocked. Kara. Allison was especially shocked. Angelina. It was beautiful. Well executed by all of the Davids. It really was. And I got to give credit to Nick and Davey in particular. Alex sort of helped out too. Wow. It was just insane, this episode. Had everything you could ask for in an episode and much more. It's anyone's game now. I love that we're not going to have a pecking order. And now you got Kyle with the idol nullifier. Dan still has one idol. I'm hoping one of the Davids could find out. You know there'll be another idol out there now that Davey played his. And I'm hoping Nick could break this curse with this vote steal. What a great episode, guys. Alec. Again, he turned on the Goliath. He's playing double agent. And he said because he's close with Nick, I think that's going to hurt him big time. And I really thought Christian was going. Or Angelina. I never would have thought it would be John. That was awesome editing, and it caught everyone, including myself, by surprise. So what do you guys think, guys? I think the Davids are right back in it, and they could take control now. I love it. And Dan, what an episode. Take care. Woo.
Pete's going to get a little dig in on Dan before he's done. All right, thanks, Pete.
Yeah, Dan deserves it.
He does seem like it, doesn't he? Yeah, he's definitely asking for it.
I'm sure he's a nice guy, but come on.
And it's clear the Davies are the Davies. They should be called the Davies,
The Davies.
Yeah, the Davids are back in it, and that's a huge thanks to that sequence of events from Alec to Nick to Davey, and then Davey having the foresight to have the idol, and then having the foresight again to figure out this was the right time to play it. I got to say that was an amazing moment for Davey and Tribal Council. Second best moment, though, is this extra video with Davey. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
It is really, really good. And if there's any doubt that they all knew, I think he clears it up. They knew. They purposefully split the vote. He's talking about playing it before they go to why he thinks he needs to play the idol before going to Tribal Council. It's what we wanted to see. So it's in the extras. It's unfortunate for Davey that he didn't get to shine a little more because a lot of people don't get to see the extra videos.
Well, what's funny is that Davey and his group were worried that Dan would play the idol for John.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm sure when he played it for Angelina, I don't know how they kept it together.
Yeah, and the other thing that another big takeaway from the extra videos this week is nobody cares if Angelina's gone.
That's right.
Nobody cares. Either side, either way. She's alienated everyone. We'll talk more about that.
Well, the other thing, too, that I thought was interesting was that after the second Angelina vote in Tribal, Nick was like, well, what happens now? I thought
there was some good acting going on. Mm-hmm. Yep, there was definitely Alec and Nick. They were...
I know he said that.
And then they lost it after the vote. But, yeah, I think Alec kept his composure and his cool. I don't know if he'll survive because they got to know someone told him, so...
Well, but if Alec's smart, he'll jump ship over to David.
Well, he's got that, and he's been playing. That's why he's been a double agent. I think Alec is in huge jeopardy with the double agent thing, but man, has he been playing it well.
Now everybody knows he's double agent, though.
Well, they don't know for sure.
Well, the Davids
they just know.
Do.
They know.
Kinda, because he voted with the Goliaths.
I don't know that we can assume that the Davids know.
Nick
knows. And I think Davey knows because we saw Nick share that with Davey, although I can't remember if he exactly said Alec or not. But in any case, I'm not...
I still think the door might be open for Alec, but I don't know if that could get him to the end at this point. But if anybody gets picked off, it looks like it's going to be the Goliaths now. Yeah.
And the important thing for Alec is that doors are open. Unlike John, he didn't court extra relationships.
That's not true.
John made some connections, but he didn't make alliances.
No, but he talked
Alec
about
made alliances.
In his video, he talked about he felt he was close with Gabby and Christian from their time together, and that he was also close with, who else? He said two others.
Nick and Davey.
He
said Carl was sketchy.
Yeah, they didn't trust Carl.
Carl was he felt like Carl was trying to weasel his way in, but that was just John's perspective, which doesn't matter a whole lot right now. But John, my point was that John didn't court the same kind of alliances that Alec did. He didn't have backup plans. John had backup plans within the Goliaths. He didn't appear to have backup plans within the Davids, which is really what Alec has set up.
100% agree with that analogy, but okay.
All right, moving on. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Jacqueline.
What is up, Joanne and Stacy? What is up, Survivor fans? This is Jacqueline from Orange County, California. This season is so good. Oh, my freaking God. Okay, so let's get into this episode. Joanne, first and foremost, I'm so glad you got rid of Dan. When he was, where you guys at? And then, I can't remember who said it, but they're like, over here. When they took it so literal, it made me laugh so hard. And then, bam, his freaking bags drop. And guess what? You get a nice piece of humble pizza pie. Yeah, he needs to go. Like Mike said, he needs to put his ego in check. And they should have put their ego in check. They should have split the votes. You know this. You have the numbers. It could have been 4 on Christian, 3 on, let's say, hypothetically, Gabby. And, of course, David's and Christian and Davey, obviously they talked about the idol before Tribal because they did split the votes, and it would have been 3 on John and then 2 on Angelina. They saved Christian, so then that would leave 3 votes for, let's say, hypothetically, Gabby, and then they saved Angelina. There'd be 3 votes for John. It would have been a tie. So how does that work? So it'd be Christian and Angelina. Do they get saved from the revote? And then because it's a tie between John and hypothetically Gabby, do they get saved as well? I'm sure you guys will talk about this, but yeah, Alec just being such a wild card out there is making this season so great. And I even love Angelina. She's annoying and her faces annoy me, but she's making great Survivor this season too. Mike is chalking up to be an amazing Survivor player as well. I'm kind of disappointed that Christian was going to be blindsided and didn't even see that coming. Oh my God, this is such a good season. And I originally had Nick as my USB. Well, I thought he was going to be my USB. I never got on the ball with it, which I'm so upset about. Great episode. As for next week, I've been having this little theory about why Alec and Cara did what they did. And hear me out. It's going to kind of sound a little crazy, but I was thinking that maybe that they might have like a love triangle because, Dan is so obsessed with Cara and she's kind of like, whatever. I'm wondering if Alex tries to get out Dan and it just doesn't happen and Dan ends up getting Alec out and he's kind of bitter and upset about it. But that's just kind of something I was thinking about. Anyways, I can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say. Yes, bye guys!
All right, thanks, Jacqueline. I love that energy.
Yeah, I don't know that the Goliaths can afford to do a 4-3 vote because there were 5 Davids. So a 4 would be dangerous if all Davids went with, they all voted together for one Goliath. That could have been really dangerous. So I don't know that they could have gotten away with that. They could have gone 5-2 just to have another name out there. But in this case, the way the Davids worked it still wouldn't have worked. John would have, because they were so sure it was Angelina.
But if, like Jacqueline was asking, they had end up tied 3 on Gabby, 3 on John, then, and the idols had been played for Angelina and Christian, respectively, then Probst would give them an opportunity to revote. Christian and Angelina would be out of the mix, but Gabby and John would be the ones that they'd have to redecide on in that scenario.
There'd have to be a revote, and I don't think Angelina and Christian or Gabby and John would be allowed to vote.
No, I think they would be out of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Then it would flip around, and I think Gabby would have ended up going.
But here's the question. Could Dan have played his other idol for John during the revote?
I guess it's possible.
There's so much we don't know.
You can play idols when you're voting. I don't know that there's only one chance per tribal council to play it.
Yeah,
that's
but
a good question.
We don't know that they would let them.
I don't know for sure. I think Gabby would have gone in that scenario, but like Jacqueline said, they didn't choose to do it, even though they know better. They were so sure that Christian didn't have an idol, that no one was going to play an idol to save Christian.
Well, I think they truly believed nobody over there had an idol because Nick was sure at one point and told them.
Yes.
No, they don't have an idol. He didn't know of anybody having an idol.
Because Davey is a secret keeper.
I like it.
Yeah. Did I mention how good that extra video with Davey is?
Yes, you did.
I might mention it again.
You've mentioned it several times to me today.
All right, thanks, Jacqueline. Next up, we've got an email from Nathan in Portsmouth, Virginia. Hello, Joanna, Stacy, and Survivor fans. I'm glad to be able to write in this week. I work 2 jobs, sometimes 70 hours a week. Oof, that is rough. Survivor is a much-needed break, and the podcast allows me some time to close my eyes, rest, and relax when I just can't do any more. You can tell I've been listening to Survivor Fans podcast for a while because my first thought after the episode was that Pete from Boston is going to give out a really big woo-hoo this week. There's so much to talk about this week. First, I was surprised that Davey gave his idol to Christian. His name hadn't been mentioned as one to get voted to keep the Davids together, but the game changes so quickly that he could have waited to see what happened down the road. He explains that in the extra video, too.
Totally.
Nathan, so definitely check that out. Perhaps he was just trying to get in some sort of alliance with Christian as a way to make it further than he could without Christian. I was very surprised that he gave his idol to someone that he didn't appear too close with or that had even asked for help. I understand Dan's move a little more. He had someone asking for it, and refusing to give the idol could have strained relationships with certain alliances and put a target on his back. I suppose only time will tell if it was a good move for him. It could prove his faithfulness to the Goliaths, and I suppose that could help him. But something tells me it won't work out for him. I don't have a great strategic reason. Call it my gut. Here's my biggest question about this episode. Do you like the fact that the edit blindsided the viewer? I let out an audible "oh wow" when John's name was shown, so I can appreciate and respect the fact that the show gave me a shock. However, after I gave it some thought, I was a little upset that the edit left the viewers completely in the dark. Did I miss something, or did we have no clue that 3 votes were being cast for John? You didn't miss anything. It was withheld. And why were they voting for John? What was the strategy behind the votes? I enjoy the strategy of the game, and I feel like the edit left out some important discussions in order to shock the viewer. I think you're 100% correct with that. Yeah.
Well, and Davey talks about they chose John because they couldn't get Dan. They wanted Dan. But Dan had a necklace around his neck, so they went after his right-hand man, John.
Yep.
That's how he described it.
Yep. There you go. I suppose it's okay once, but I hope it doesn't become a pattern. Well, they have done it to us quite a bit. They did it a lot last season. What do you think? Was it a good edit, and should that pattern continue, or would you like to know the reason behind the votes? So I want both, and I'm okay. I want, and I'm okay with how we got it. How's that?
Yeah, I'm okay with how it played out.
I'm okay being surprised, and I knew something was wonky. Just like there's something wonky with what was going on with Mike.
Yeah.
And this time, it had where they've erred in the past and where they erred last season quite a bit, in my opinion, is they've blindsided the viewer and they didn't offer the extra explanation in the extra videos
or something somewhere.
This time they get it. You get it for Davey. You get it for Mike. It's there.
Mike tells why he didn't trust Gabby,
what the turning point
Christian
was, and all that
was just seeing them talking together out. Mike got a little paranoid, and he wasn't trusting either one of them really.
All right, Nathan continues, wrapping it up. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving, and I look forward to checking in next week. The episode should be a great one. I agree, Nathan. We are looking forward to it too, and buddy, I hope you get some time off to celebrate and rest. And then enjoy your Survivor episode, and maybe join us back for feedback again next weekend.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would like that they blindsided us exactly that way all the time. Because like you said, we really want some information about, well, how did that happen?
Just like Nathan, we're like, oh, wow. And then we're like, wait a second. You know, you're being shady to go with the theme that Survivor's pushing.
But like you say, if they give us some explanation, even if it's in the extra clips that, we can talk about and understand better
I'm okay waiting for it in an extra clip. I'm okay even waiting for it to show up in the next episode. Maybe they're being more creative with the previously on Survivor and sharing some things that they
But when they come back,
in
tell us.
Yeah.
Don't just leave it hang forever.
Hanging so that it's a shady edit.
And that's what they did last season, I think.
It left us feeling cheated a whole lot.
Yeah.
And then the outcome, it's hard to pay off when you hide too much. It's hard to have it be a fulfilling season. Thanks again, Nathan. Next up, we got a call from Shea.
Hey guys, it's Shea. That was, in my opinion, the best episode so far. I have so many thoughts. First of all, Davey just surprises me constantly. He is really, really smart in the playing of this game. I really think he could go far. And Nick, oh my God, Nick. I love his heart. I love his guts and the moves he's willing to make. And he is so much smarter than I gave him credit for in the beginning. I know he's a lawyer, but I didn't know if he was going to be able to socially hang. And he is doing that like nobody's business. Another thing I was confused about is Mike not trusting Gabby after her outburst at Tribal, because to me, her crying and talking about Goliath strong, picking on the Davids, was a really good cover for their six-person alliance that they had together. I mean, no other Goliaths are going to think that Mike's in an alliance with her if she's worried about them picking on the Davids. I thought it was a good cover. When Dan and Kara and Angelina are all laying there in the sun, and Angelina's freaking out about her name being put out there, and Dan's telling her that she needs to calm down. No reason to freak out just because your name's being put out there. That was laughable. I literally laughed out loud because last week he stormed off like a toddler when he heard that just one person was saying his name. I thought that was so funny. And then Angelina being upset because Mike took her idea, it really kind of threw me when she started making it about, oh, now a man says it. Because technically, the day she brought it up, everybody was hammered. They were drunk. Carl was willing to throw one of his own people under the bus, and everybody thought, it's hot, we're hammered, that's easy, let's do that. They may not even remember she brought up Christian. She just needs to calm down. The blind side, I don't know how they worked it. They don't show us the inner makings of the plans like that, and I guess I'm glad they don't, because I did not see that coming whatsoever. I was just blown away by it. It was just an amazing, amazing show. I cannot wait to hear what everybody else has to say. It took everything I had to not call in the middle of the show, which I have done before. Really can't wait to hear what everybody else thinks about the episode. Really loved the recap show. Oh, and Joanne, my husband would call those Fred Flintstone feet. Appreciate good, sturdy feet. Some people have, like, weak, flat-footed feet and couldn't climb a rock if they had to. So appreciate your strong, sturdy feet. Anyway, have a good day. Talk to you later.
All right,
I like
thanks,
that.
Shea.
Strong, sturdy feet.
Strong, sturdy feet.
Yeah.
I need strong, sturdy feet to hold me up. I liked your point about Gabby could have used that if Mike had approached her. You know, she could have, hey, I didn't want anybody to know. Mm-hmm. I didn't want
the
anybody
cover
to know.
idea.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's a clever way to spin it. Unfortunately, no one viewed it that way. And so the number one extra video this week is Davey. The number two extra video is Mike explaining why the Strike Force Alliance came apart. The number three one's Allison talking about her perspective on Gabby and what she said. Because Gabby didn't think the way Shea was thinking, unfortunately. She didn't spin it out like that was a cover story. And so Allison's lost faith in Gabby, and she's really struggling to figure out what her next move is.
Well, and the common theme in the extra videos is that they're all having to work so hard to manage the other people.
Yes, yeah. And
constantly.
It comes across real clear, doesn't it? You get a much better sense for the challenges they're all facing mentally with juggling all those things.
Yeah, because they're all feeling it.
Yep. Definitely feeling it.
Except for Carl, he's a little laid back. He just laying
Carl's
back.
very chill, yeah. But he's using that as part of his strategy, right? He's like, I'm chilling.
And he can jump in there, but that's not how John was seeing you.
No.
Carl.
No. He wasn't perceived the way he thought he was playing, but he was definitely, he's in the mix as far as he's concerned. Thanks, Shea. We enjoyed that. Thanks for the sturdy, strong feet, too. That was good. Next up, we got a call from Cameron.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy, this is Cameron from North Carolina calling in with this week's listeners' feedback. So I really agree with Mike in that Gabby really didn't seem to have much trust in that alliance. Not that it would work out anyway, but even if she didn't have much trust, she really wasn't setting herself up well for that. Man, that's steal a vote. Nick is in a pretty good position right now. He's got a lot of people aligned with him, and 3 advantages within that, well, 2 now that Davey used the idol. Now I know that symbol on Davey and Nick's clue was an homage to the symbol on the merge sign. Yeah, they found the advantage corresponding to the location on the symbol, but part of me still thinks that sign from the merge was an idol. I wonder if it's still around, but honestly, it's probably out of the game by now. I think Mike may be giving Christian too much credit as a manipulative mastermind. Yeah, he is smart, but we really don't see him as being socially capable enough of being able to pull the strings around there. In my opinion, it isn't all that much because Angelina's a woman that her voice is being suppressed. It's more just that she's obnoxious and unpredictable. Alec exposing the Goliath plan to Nick might just be his anagnoresis. Ultimately, I don't think it would hurt him as bad as it did Angelina last week, mostly because Nick didn't choose to expose him. But oh man, the Davids, I'm pretty salty that Angelina's still around. But for the most part, I'm just glad that the Davids knew how to split the vote. I can't tell you how close I was to picking John as my new USB this week, though ultimately I went with Mike. Pretty sure I lost a safe point this week. I don't remember, but I'm almost positive I put John as safe. So, JSFL is out the window. Maybe now we'll get to see a bit more of Christian fighting back. It really made me grin to see him talk back to Angelina when she was trying to expose his threat level during tribal council. You know, it's funny, up until the vote, I was thinking, this episode's been pretty boring. I'll be sad to see Christian go. But boy, was I proven wrong once Davey stood up. I'm also glad Nick, Christian, and Gabby weren't blinded by the short-lived strike force. And they recognize that this truly is David versus Goliath now. Then again, how could they be that foolish when Christian was the target? Dan, in my opinion, is becoming such a dud. This doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get voted off next week, but it kind of means that he's no longer much of a contender for USB, unfortunately. Biggest winner of the week, I'll repeat whoever said it already, Angelina. How she is able to stick around is beyond me. But also Nick and Christian, here's to hoping you guys make it far. Biggest loser? Aside from John, I'd say Dan for just wasting that idol. I can't say I'm too glad to see John go, but I am fine that seemingly the Davids won't see the same fates as Borneo's Pagong, South Pacific's Savai, One World's Manano, so on and so forth. Alright, Joanne and Stacy, I hope you guys have a great week. Hope all the listeners have a great week. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Cameron.
Well, and you know that Dan, it just really has to be upsetting to him that he played his idol
Wasted.
for Angelina and John goes home.
Yes.
Whereas if he had any inkling, he could have saved John and let Angelina go home.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm sure he would have rather done. So, you know, the Davids played that so beautifully.
Yes, they did. They did. Cameron really hit on that theme with Angelina too. It's not they didn't listen because she was a woman when she pitched Christian, and Shea may have been onto something too that they were hammered.
Mm-hmm.
But
True.
the other more important thing, and it's another thing that rings true in the extra videos this week. They don't like her. They don't like how she played. And
They don't like how she talks to them.
no. And she doesn't get that at all. She has no awareness of that.
Has nothing to do with her personally. It's about her being a strong woman.
As far as she's concerned.
As
Yes.
far as she's
Yeah.
concerned. Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks again, Cameron. Next up, we got an email from Christiana in Boston.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Wow, what an episode. What a season. The past few episodes sparked so many thoughts in my head about how the rest of the season is going to play out. But first, for this week, I really liked the reward challenge. It involved a lot of teamwork and strategy, and I also noticed that Kara was really impressive, literally holding her own and then some. It makes me wonder if she'll get deeper into the game, certainly farther than most people probably predicted.
Yep.
Dan was being so cocky. Joanne, you must be thrilled you changed your USB pick. Moving to the Goliath conversation about voting out Christian, it must have taken every ounce of Angelina's self-control to not scream, "That was my idea."
She actually says something to that effect in an extra video.
When everyone was praising Mike, and to some extent, I think she was right to be frustrated. Sexism at work, even on Survivor.
No.
What I love about the season is how unpredictable it has been. There is such a journey every week
Yeah.
between conversations that happen early in the episode, after the immunity challenge, and then finally at Tribal Council. I haven't been able to predict the outcome, and this week was no different. We didn't see any of those conversations about splitting the votes and throwing them John's way. After Dan pulled out the second idol, I was wondering if there would be no valid votes. But it was already so late in the hour, I was wondering where the vote was going to go and if there would be enough time for a revote. And then boom, John. I will end with this. What happened with Alec? It seems like he is playing a smart game, making connections on both sides, and every week I've been waiting for something catastrophic to happen that throws his game and drove him to break the NDA and forgo the 10,000 reunion chat. But right now, things seem to be moving in the right direction for him, so I'm wondering how much farther he gets in the game.
I think everyone is, yeah.
Prior to this week's episode, the only clear winner I could see, based on the season's edit, was Christian, and that he was getting so much screen time because it was sort of a hidden in plain sight type of situation. But after seeing his lack of strategic thinking in this week's episode, I'm not so sure.
Right.
As of right now, I'm thinking of Nick as the winner, but who knows? It changes every week. Looking forward to hearing everyone else's thoughts. Happy Thanksgiving. All right. Thanks, Christiana.
Yeah, be thinking about Davey. Davey actually is ahead of Nick, because Nick's is a bit behind the scenes in all this. Nick's role was to act shocked. Davey's was to save Christian and turn the tide.
Well, and I think even though we haven't seen a lot of what Carl and Davey have been doing, John told us he felt connected to Davey.
Mm-hmm.
And Kara says in her clip that she felt connected, that she had made some connections between Davey and Carl.
Right, since her and Alec ended up on a tribe with him. Yeah.
Right, and so he is making some connections in both tribes.
There's a lot being hidden from us.
Yeah. So.
But as long as we get the story, we'll be okay, I think, like we were talking about.
I'm good.
Thanks, Christiana. Next up, got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana. On Wednesday, while we were watching the episode, the station cuts off, and it's snowing, and whenever the weather changes, our station gets a little iffy, like all of them on our TV. It was crazy and annoying, and it happened right at tribal council, so we didn't get to see who got voted off. So we text my oldest sister, who lives in a different part of Indiana with her fiance, and they're watching it. She videos John getting his torch snuff and tries to explain what happened, but she doesn't really know anybody's names. So today we watched it again. Wow, so crazy. Once again, Davey gets across the message that Gandalf has been telling us for years about hidden immunity idols. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. And Dan seems to not get that, even though the last season, all of these people saw all the way through was heroes versus healers versus hustlers, which is a season where Ben won by basically not telling anybody that he had an idol. It's unfortunate that either way, if Dan hadn't played his idol or not, that John would have gone. I wish that Christian had put his vote Angelina's way. Man, it sucks. It sucks to see John go, and I bet Dan's wishing he played his idol on John instead of Angelina, because I think he can trust John a lot more than he can trust Angelina. Yeah, and how fitting that it comes down to the two people I like the least out of everyone here in the immunity challenge, right? It was so annoying. But you know what was hilarious? At the beginning of the immunity challenge, Alec is mimicking what he's saying. He's, lip syncing it, and it's hilarious. So I switched my USB from Dan to Christian. No surprise, really. And I decide, you know what? Instead of going for Angelina tonight, I'm going to go for Dan for the vote off. And lo and behold, Dan wins immunity. And Angelina loses immunity against Dan. And so I was like, of course. And then it looks like Christian's going home, who is my new winner pick. And my old winner pick is safe. But there's no way Dan is winning this game. So, wow. I really hope you switched to your USB, Stacy, because you lost a possible 24 points. And I do think there is a world where John Hennigan won this season, an alternate timeline or something, because he has winner potential. And I think we would have seen a lot more of that if he would have made it deeper in the game. But for the spot he's at, we saw just enough. And yes, I was sad seeing him go, but I was happy it wasn't Christian. Man, such a good episode, so crazy. I loved it. Let's go, Christian. Let's bring it home. Yeah, no more cutting out, station. Just play the whole episode, please. Thank you. All right, so my energy is back. But just for the heck of it, get off my lawn. So there you go, Stacy. All right, see you guys next time.
Excellent. Good job. I'm glad you got to see the ending, Parker.
I think John wins either way because he was edited very well.
Super
Such a
positive edit for so little
very.
emphasis and impact on the game.
And everybody thinks he's a great guy. And nobody seemed to think that highly of him, from his wrestling persona. And so I think he wins either way because he just seems to be a really nice person.
Definitely he comes out ahead in this whole thing.
Yeah.
In that he gets a lot more attention from maybe an audience although there's certainly fans here in Survivor Fans podcasts that know of John and celebrate.
But he has more fans now. I would actually go watch something if I knew he was in it.
Yes, and there's a lot going on for him right now.
Which I'd never heard of him before, so.
Yeah, yep. We did, right?
I used to do wrestling when I was young. Mm-hmm. A long time ago. But when I moved away from Georgia, I kind of moved away from the wrestling.
And his wrestling career is just skyrocketing right now, too. So he's enjoying a lot of fame and celebrity. And, boy, he had a really good Ponderosa video, too. I'm sure that made people like him even more, especially the women.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shut up. Just because he cried.
Yep. Well, no, he was sharing
and emotional.
Sensitive side, because he was getting ready for his wedding.
That's it.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, thanks, Parker. Next up, we got a call from Ed. Got some audio from Ed.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. It's Ed from Milwaukee. This week we saw a perfectly executed blindside. I can't recall the last time that I have been so surprised. This episode is worthy of multiple doozy-woozies from Pete, and to use my best Russell Hantz impersonation, this episode may qualify as the greatest blindside of all time. The producers deserve credit, at least as far as blindsiding the audience by not letting on that something was up. The vote shows that there were several votes for John, and I saw one extra video in which Pete Davey explained his strategy for this vote, but it was good that no one outside of Davey and friends knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Every week, the Survivor community talks about the importance of strategy in winning Survivor, but this episode shows how luck can supersede strategy. John had been playing a surprisingly good strategic game, but this week he was a victim of bad luck. There was nothing he could have done to have prevented his exit from the game this week. At the beginning of the season, I thought of Christian as the second coming of Cochran, i.e. the nerdy, bright, introverted wallflower. But Christian has proven to be more like David Wright on steroids. His puzzle skills make him a physical threat, and he has excellent strategic and social skills. It's fully understandable why the Goliath tribe wants to vote him out. And these are my comments for this week, and thank you for everything you do.
All right, good job, Ed. Yeah, I think you're 100% on target with that. Definitely some bad luck came John's way.
Well, you know what it was? His big downfall.
What's that?
Being close to Dan.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That's what took him out. Dan's right-hand man. They all wanted Dan. All angry at Dan, so they can't get Dan. Okay, well, we'll settle for John. John didn't do anything.
Somehow.
They didn't even dislike
Kara
John.
dodged that, even though there's an association. Wow, okay. She's got some kind of magic force field around her right now. Thanks, Ed. Great job on the audio there, bud. Next up, we got an email from Mike in Omaha. Joanne and Stacy and all the fans of the podcast. I hope you're all healthy and safe. I've been extremely busy recently and not with all, but no such luck. I haven't had time to get any feedback in lately, and I've been missing it. Well, we were missing you too, Mike. Mike says, so wow, John goes home with 3 votes after Angelina and Christian are both saved by other players. This season really does keep on giving. I'm happy to squeeze every morsel out of it, as I think next season's going to be a gigantic disaster of epic proportions. Back to Davids and Goliaths, though. Nick seems to be holding a lot of the cards. Frankly, I think Christian sticking around isn't that good for his game, but John going home sure is. So I have to wonder if Nick figures that even if Mason Dixon isn't best for his game, depowering the Goliath tribe surely is. All John's ousting really tells me is to pay even more attention to the editing. They weren't editing John as a winner, and clearly he wasn't. I didn't think that he was going to win, but he showed serious promise. I just stand by the fact that any guy who looks like John may as well probably not apply. There's no way they're going to be allowed to win unless it's a returnee season. Returnee seasons follow a whole different set of rules. This is true. I'm liking Allison more and more. Might have a lot to do with the fact that I picked her as my new USB after last week's unfortunate conclusion. Kara and Alex seem to play big this season. Makes it highly, highly disappointing if it's true that Alec broke his non-disclosure agreement. He's playing a bit crazy, but seems none the worse for wear. That's a great description of his game. He might as well keep doing what works. Angelina's becoming entertaining for me. I still don't like her. I still think she's bratty, but she's growing on me, if just a tiny bit. Mike White's growing more and more annoying to me by the week. I want Nick and Davey to keep up with their shenanigans and go very far. That's really all I've got. I'm going back out of town this weekend, and then with Thanksgiving and everything in my life, it might be a while until I can really settle back into keeping up with the SFP world. Hope you all are enjoying this brilliant season as much as I am. Stacy, Joanne, you're both incredible, and thanks so much for continuing to be such excellent Survivor fans and hosting your podcast. Thank you, Mike. We love that you're a part of it. Next up, we got a call from Nicola-n-Jackson.
Hi, Joanna, Stacy. This is Nicola and
Jackson.
And it's Saturday morning. We're still snuggled up in bed, but we just got done watching the episode. Which challenge did you like best?
The dumping water bathtub.
The dumping water bathtub. That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Then I wish I was in that because I wanted to get soaking wet so I could take another shower.
You like taking a bath or shower? Who took a bath with you last night? Monty, our puppy, got in the bath with Jackson last night. Okay, so we watched the episode. Kara was amazing in that challenge with the bags over the head, and that was yet another one that was in Australian Survivor this season. But yeah, what a fantastic episode. I'm loving the editing, that we didn't really know what was going to happen at the end, and final tribal was just amazing.
Dan, can I have your idol?
Dan. We enjoyed it. We had to pick a new USB. So I initially went with Allison, and then I went back and switched it to Christian. So when the episode was on, I'm like, oh, well, there we go. Here goes my 5 points out the window on the first night. Christian survived, and Jackson looked at the pictures this morning, and he would have picked Angelina. And while she's great TV and making some moves, I don't know that I could get behind her winning, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Hoping that next week the Davids stick together, will manage to use the vote steal correctly, and then they'll be up in the numbers, and they can flip the script. That would be great. So that's about it from us. Well, thank you, Joanna, Stacy, for all you do. We're off to...
It's my turn. I want to go be a survivor. I want to be at Survivor and play a Survivor game. So is that okay, Joanna, Stacy?
I think it will be in a few years. Okay, bye, guys. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Joanna, Stacy, for all you do. See you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
That would be awesome, Jackson. You go for it.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you on Survivor, buddy. Next up, we got a call from Sophie and her family.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey. Hi, Survivor fans. I am just smiling thinking about the episode. I haven't had a chance to watch it back again, but it was just absolutely probably the best series episode I've seen in so long. It's the best modern Survivor that I've seen, because the ones that I think of which are my favourite are the ones with Russell Hans and Boston Rob, and this is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, the final, I was biting my arm, not knowing what was going to happen, and then later on I see this sort of love bite bruise, these teeth marks, and I'm like, what on earth happened to my arm? And then I realized that I was just so nervous, just like holding my breath, like what was going to happen. And yeah, I've got to be careful next time. I'll just be biting a pillow. But it was really good. My husband wanted to rewind it and try to figure out about the votes. And then we were talking about it for like 30 minutes afterwards. And that's never happened. It was so good. I just loved the collaboration with Nick and Christian and Davey. I wasn't sure who to pick, so I was going between Mike and Davey as my USB, and I chose Davey, and he played so amazingly. I can't believe that he is like at the bottom of the list of, winners. Her people change their USB. And okay, so maybe I'm crazy, but he played really well today, and I'm proud of him. Well done. He shared his idol and he used it, and oh my goodness, John is such a good sport for going out so well and just being so sweet in the challenge. And do you guys want to say anything about the Survivor?
It was awesome.
Did you like it? Did you like the challenges, Layla?
It was the one where they had the stakes in the ball and they had to hold it up.
Do you think you could have done it for longer than them?
Nope.
No, you would have dropped out quickly?
They dropped out pretty fast, though.
My husband really enjoyed the episode. Do you want to say anything, David? Nope. Okay, he's shy.
Nope.
But next week, I think Mike is going to be targeted. Maybe they'll think that he somehow is working both sides. I had Alec going home, so maybe he'll be targeted. My husband thinks I'm crazy for my input. Okay, I'll keep this short and sweet. Gotta go, but
Bye.
Bye.
No, this pizza's good.
The pizza's good? Okay, let's go eat pizza. Bye.
That sounds like a plan. Good deal. Thanks, Sophie. Thanks, everybody. Next up, we got an email from Tina in Virginia.
Dear Joanne and Stacy, I hope all is well on your side. This week, Davy gave up a lot to save Christian. I love Davy describing the scene where he found the freaking tree sticking out of the rock. I hope it works out for him. I was sad to see John go.
Yep.
He was very good about it, and although I don't think Christian meant to be a meanie, you do need to be very careful what you say as people get voted out. Dan's cocky smack talk at the weight challenge was so damaging to his ego, but it is how cops talk. Looking to the future, I hope there will be a Dan, Alec, and Angelina showdown. I feel as if a bloodbath is coming. Every episode is so over the top. The players are doing a great job, and it will be hard to see them picked off one by one. Your show makes my week better. All the best. All right, thank you, Tina.
Yeah, that was great.
Up next, we have an audio clip from Marla-n-Sarah.
Hey.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, Survivor friends. This is Marla.
And this is Sarah.
With some quick pre-Thanksgiving feedback. That was a crazy episode. Sarah, what did you think of that reward?
That is my dream dinner.
That is Sarah's dream dinner. I agree. She would be really excited if we had that tonight. Maybe we will. That was an insane tribal council. I would sure be sad if John was my USB and he got voted out with just 2 votes. That was crazy. And Sarah grew to like John, didn't you? You didn't think he was too gross after all, did you?
No.
He seemed okay. What great sportsmanship. He was a good role model after all. We wish you all a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. And Joanne and Stacy, thanks for all you do. We will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
All right. We love getting to hear from both of you. Great to have you here this week. Next up, call from Drew and his crew.
Hey, everyone. This is Drew and
Charlie,
and Charlie Kitty. Some little paper doll things. And Milo was with us today. Mommy's on her run, so let's do a quick feedback before the natives get too restless and see what we can get down. But we just watched both of the challenges, huh, buddy? What were they about? The first one was they had to hold up those bags, right?
Yeah, and then they dumped the water.
Do you think they were heavy?
Yeah.
They looked like they were heavy, huh? Something I noticed when we rewatched, which I didn't notice during the episode, was that when Jeff said they were going to do a schoolyard pick, Gabby's immediate reaction was, oh, great. So I think that was kind of a callback to maybe getting picked last, or the fear of getting picked last. You can relate to that. But then she turned out to be the captain, so that wasn't a problem. But so the second challenge, what was the second challenge? You had to hold those sticks, right? Hold up the ball.
Yeah.
Who did you think was going to win, Charlie?
Damn.
And you were right. You thought Angelina was going to win, huh, babe? We had a little battle going on here, but I had Angelina to go, so I was pretty excited when she dropped that ball. But
Dan did.
But Dan did, yeah. He won. It's interesting to me watching back to notice that both challenges were endurance challenges. There wasn't a lot of heavy physical activity, but both pretty good. A good episode, and there was lots of stuff going on, and I thought for sure that Angelina, especially when Davey pulled out that idol, I thought for sure Angelina was going, and I was so into it, I was going to get another vote off point, but no, then Dan had to follow through, and that really surprised me, but I think it was smart of him, especially since he still has another idol, but we'll see if there are ramifications of the tribe realizing that they had no idea that he had those. So yeah, I was really pretty bummed to see John go, and honestly, I don't know, like you guys are saying, it was a huge surprise. My jaw actually dropped open of its own volition. I just couldn't believe it. And it's funny to note that Angelina would not have been voted out anyway because John had more votes. What is it, buddy?
I didn't see her on that show.
That's
on those other ones.
Yeah, we're looking at the roster. That's because she was voted out. She's not on the tribe anymore. And now he was voted out and he's not on the tribe anymore, so they can't win. Too bad. I kind of feel like it'd be fun to see John back, but I don't know. I don't know if he seems the type, you know what I mean? I mean, I think he was into it, but there are some people who just seem like, oh, they'll definitely be back. But if he came back, I might be tempted to pick him for a potential USB. I don't know. Okay, next to go, I think Christian dodged a bullet and he's going to be okay for a while, so it might be Angelina's time finally. Either her or Alec, they're both kind of biting time. I think we better call it before these little ones get too cuckoo. We have a pretty quiet day, which is a kind of a nice change for a Saturday, so we'll see what we can do. Oh, winner of the week, gosh, I don't know, Angelina and Christian for both dodging that vote. Loser of the week is, I don't know, Angelina also, just because I wanted her to go. Okay, you want to pick who's going to win?
Yeah. I think...
Okay, Adelaide picks Allison. Good pick. Who do you think, Charlie? You picked her, yep. Mike. Okay, their current USB for 0 points is Allison for Adelaide and Mike for Charlie. I stuck with Allison too, so let's see what happens. Okay, I better call it. Everyone have a great weekend. Have a great Thanksgiving, and talk to you next time. Bye. Say bye. Say bye, Adelaide.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Good job, guys. Enjoyed it. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California. Holy crap, what an episode. I did not see that vote out coming. I could have easily lost my new USB. I understand that Angelina was trying to explain herself from the fallout of the previous tribal, but that did not work at all, especially because she was lying about what truly went down. I feel like a lot of us thought there was some type of advantage or hidden idol at the merge feast with that banner, and sure enough there was. And I think Davey, Nick, and Carl are in a decent position because of that. However, I think Carl forced himself into that group because they were looking for the advantage before Carl showed up. Both the challenges were great this episode. The reward challenge was unique in that you have to work as a team to hold up the bags and can shift them to different tribe mates whenever you need to. That immunity challenge looked hard, and I know we've seen this challenge before, but I'm not sure how long I could last on it. That last tribal was insane. It was crazy for the idols to come out, and then seeing John voted out from that. It is unfortunate because I was really enjoying watching John on the show. For my USB choice, I had Carl when the game first started, and I have gotten rid of him for Christian. That might have been a bad choice from what we saw this episode. Oops. No, I think you made a great choice. You're going to enjoy that. As for this next episode, it seems like Dan's days are numbered, but we shall see. He does still have an idol, so he may stay around a bit longer. I think you're right about that, Jack. Definitely he's a target, but I think everyone dislikes Angelina even more. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh. I don't have much to say, but I'm going to be away next week, so I thought I should call in and add my input with the rest of your listeners' feedback.
Yeah.
Out of what's been a great season so far, I thought this week's episode was probably the best yet. But so much for that short-lived stealth alliance. Mike's turnaround gave me whiplash. And while he's correct, just like Angelina was correct the week before, they should remove a major player like Christian. But why did he agree to the secret alliance 1 week, flip the next, and think there won't be any repercussions? I'm thinking this might mark the turning point in his trajectory. He now has a target on his back to all of the Davids, and if they use their vote-stealing advantage, he may be the third to go to Ponderosa. The two players I thought would be gone by now are Nick and Alex. Nick was targeted like the very first episode as the first David to go, but because of Pat's evacuation, he stayed longer, and then he started playing the game more strategically. And when Alex helped eliminate Natalia, that could have cost him his tribe's loyalty, but for some reason, the players, bigger players, maybe took the heat off the two of them, and for now they seem to be in a more secure position. As to John's elimination, I thought the guy had class all the way. Good-natured, and his video at Ponderosa shows that the big guy has a big heart, and I will miss seeing him. Next tribal, it'll be 6-5, but if Nick plays his steal the vote, then they can take out another Goliath. So I'm wondering if they'll go for Dan, not knowing he has another idol to play, or maybe this is finally going to be it for Angelina. Can't wait to find out, and I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. Bye.
We're going to miss your voice. Thanks for calling in this week, David. Next up, we got a call from Jill.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey. Hi, Survivor fans. Jill from the Outback here. Wasn't that a great episode? One of those ones you had no idea what was going to happen at the end. The editors just kept us guessing all the way through. And even then, they pulled out a surprise out of what we thought could have happened. I was sorry to see John go. I thought he was great. At the start of the whole season, I think I can't be the only one that thought he was going to be aggressive, a bit arrogant, and he wasn't. He was a really lovely bloke the whole way through, and even at the end, he handled that really well. And I think Christian might have had a bit of a dig asking if he could still be the comptroller, but John even handled that really well. I barely even know what wrestling is, but I'm now a fully fledged Mayor of Slamtown fan. Going to be interesting next week to see how it all pans out for Dan. I think he might have been in trouble last week if he hadn't won immunity, but he did, and then he used his idol on Angelina. So I think he might be a little bit cheesed off, and it's not necessarily Angelina's fault, but it was a wasted idol. Nikki's really astute in this game, and I think it might have been him that sort of orchestrated the whole saving of Christian. Christian looked like he had no idea at all, but he must have if they had those votes for John up their sleeves. I think if they can keep going like they are, like the Nick and Davey and Carl and even Christian little alliance there, if they can keep that going just low key and not get a bit arrogant and we're controlling the game kind of attitude, then they just might go a little bit further than they would have otherwise. If they can get out of Goliath next week, and maybe with Alex's help they can, then that they're on top. I'd like to see one of them win it. Actually, maybe Nick or even Davey. I don't think Christian can. I think he'll believe anything that's told him, and he will be too trusting. But I reckon Davey or Nick could just pull it off next week. Who knows? I reckon it might be Angelina or Dan going out. Maybe with Alex's help, voting with the Davids. That'll give them the upper hand then. But I don't think Alec will last long in the game after that. That's about all I got. Happy days, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Jill. Good job. Next up, got an email from BrandonB from Brooklyn.
Ding dong, who is it? An amazing blindside.
BrandonB, ding dong, yeah.
Wow, this episode was so good. I couldn't believe we had 2 idols played and John gets blindsided. I think a few people made some mistakes this episode. Mike has completely lost his mind. I don't know why anyone would trust him. I don't like him and I find him annoying. I agree he and everyone else should go after Christian. I would have done it to like final 6 or 7. I don't see Christian going on an immunity run. Mike was given a secret hidden alliance and he chose to stay with the Goliath that he doesn't like instead. So dumb. Alec was also foolish. You wanted to work with the Davids, but you turned your back on them. He also was foolish to tell Nick the vote was for Christian. Did he think Nick wasn't going to try to save Christian? Or maybe was he hoping Nick could save Christian and still work with them both in the future?
Yep.
I thought the Davids in general were very clutch this episode. They found another advantage, which is huge in this game. They voted together and created a plan to blindside the Goliaths. I personally would have been tempted to vote out Kara because that would send a bigger message to Dan. You saved Angelina only to get your girl voted out.
That would have bit more for sure. I like that, Brandon.
I can't wait for next week. I still like Angelina, and I think she could turn on the Goliaths. She was absolutely right about what she said about the gender roles of her alliance. When a man says a plan and the whole tribe listens, when she says something, people disagree. This week. All right. Thanks, Brandon.
I like that summary. Yeah.
Up next, we have an audio clip from Victoria.
Victoria's bummed.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey. Hi, Survivor Super fans. This is Victoria from Maryland. And unfortunately, I am very, 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 very upset. My boy John went home for no reason at all. I'm in my feels right now. I'm still in my feels. I love the episode. The episode was great. I'm furious that Carl didn't use the immunity nullifier because that would have saved John. I believe, like, the right person would have went home, which is the person that I voted for also. So, yeah, I'm just really upset that John went home. I thought he was a great person on the tribe. That kind of went back against my not taking out the physical threats of the game. I love Davey in this episode. I'm super happy that nobody found out about his immunity idol, but then I was super mad that he played it, which I wasn't upset about. I was just upset that what was the point of not telling anybody that you had it? I mean, the plan worked, so I guess I can't be too upset. But this went against my guy, John. So I'm just going to leave now because there's just no way I can finish this without getting upset some more. So I appreciate everything you guys do. I'll talk to you guys next week. All right, bye.
But actually, Victoria, if Carl had used the nullifier against Dan's vote, John would have still gone home because there were 3 votes.
So
and
you're
only
going to make her even more
2
bummed
for
out.
Angelina.
You might not have. Maybe you shouldn't explain it that way.
Well, we already said that.
Let's do this. Let's say, Victoria, go watch that extra video with Davey because he's somebody you really want to get behind.
True.
All right. Thanks for calling in and sharing your feels, Victoria. Next up, we got another call from CJ.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is CJ in South Florida. I'm calling again after a wonderful episode that had me chuckling like you, Stacy. Actually, I was laughing out loud several times.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nick came out of this episode looking super. I'm thrilled that he's my winner pick. I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but my family, we do a preseason draft, and he was my winner pick. So my family's thinking, along the lines that I'm in good shape. I'm still really proud of Gabby. I think Gabby's doing great. I think that she was less emotional this week, which was good. I thought she was great. I loved when Christian stood up for her to Mike, when Mike was talking about Gabby, and Christian said she just gets a little emotional. I loved that. I think Mike White's at risk right now. He had a beautiful Strike Force alliance. I don't know why he did that. I think he jumped ship way too early, and I think he was in good shape, and now he's not. So I think he might be the next to go. I also think Dan is in bad shape. Dan's just losing it. Dan's saying, one thing and doing another. And I understand that he had made a promise to her, but I just think that Dan is not long for this game. His face when the mayor of Slamtown got voted off, Dan's face was just, he was like in shock and just, he didn't look good. Back to Nick. I think Nick's alliances are just wonderful. His partner alliances with so many different people. I think that the editors haven't showed us a lot of him and Alec, but Alec was like, I don't want Nick to not trust me. I got to keep Nick in the loop. I don't know which alliance is going to make it through with Nick, but I think Nick is in really great shape. There were so many times I laughed out loud, but I really loved it when Angelina said, "Oh, did you tell him? Did you tell him my name?" As if she had to micromanage Dan again with the idol. She's too much. She's great TV, though. That's all for now. Thank you so much for your wonderful podcast, and I hope everybody has a blessed week. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Excellent. Good job, CJ. Great to have you back. Next up, a call from Kim.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Kim from North Carolina. I really liked that Strike Force, the Christian, Nick, Gabby, Mike, Alec, and John alliance, but obviously Mike is trying to blow that up now. I think Gabby is really strategic, and she's hiding some of her strategy with the drama, unlike Angelina, who's kind of getting the villain edit because she isn't hiding it. She can't hide it from the people in the game, and even if they can't see her confessionals, we certainly can see it. It was interesting in the tribal council how she was micromanaging Dan's use of the idol for her until the very end. I thought it was interesting this week how Mike was talking about how Gabby really isn't really in on our alliance, but he was the one who was blowing it up. So I don't know if he's unaware or if he's just being smart. I think, Stacey, even though you're throwing shade on Angelina, she's right that she had the idea to vote out Christian, and then Mike stole it the next week. So I think she was justified in being angry. Nick really, really impressed me this week. I noticed when I rewatched the tribal that Nick was the one who said, "That's off the top rope." But John really impressed me with what a good sport he was. I decided to go with Allison, and I really did like John, but I guess it's good I didn't pick him since he went home. One thing I wanted to also say about Dan was a lot of times when he he talks, it just makes me think, where's the cheese? You know, as in to go with that wine. I wonder if that bothers other people too. He really just took it so personally that Elizabeth was trying to get him out. One last thing, I'm not doing that great in JSFL, but a couple weeks ago in the standings, I was right next to someone called Princess Sparkles, and I hope it stays that way because I really, really love that nickname. Oh, one more thing. The tribal council thing where Allison was talking about she's managing an exponential number of relationships, and Christian interrupted her and said, oh no, it's factorial. Well, in fact, I think Allison was probably right in the way she was describing it, because we don't really know for sure what they were talking about, but factorial would be 12 times 11 times 10 times 9 and so on, all the way down to 1, to represent all the different ways that 12 people could finish in the game, as in first place, second place, third place, and so on. So that would be a really humongous number. And even if you were looking to figure out how many alliances with 7 people can I make out of 12, that would also be a really big number. She mentioned 144, which is 12 squared. That is exponential. So even though Christian is definitely way smarter than I am, and I've probably missed something about this math problem, I don't think Christian was right in thinking it's factorial, even though obviously there are tons of different things that can happen, and I will never be able to figure out exactly what the end product to be. Have a great weekend, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving.
Good job. Great to have you back this week, Kim. And I'm totally with you on the facts. Absolutely, Angelina said that previous week. It's just why they didn't act on Angelina's plan.
Yeah.
I don't think it had anything to do with her gender at all. Thanks, Kim. Next up, we got an email from Josh the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, what a great episode. It never ceases to amaze me how majority alliances often rest on their arrogant laurels, only to be taken down by marginalized members and unexpected advantages. I was on the edge of my seat as the votes were read, and as clueless as Dan is to what the outcome would be. Season 37 definitely isn't a turkey. Nice lead-in for Thanksgiving week. This week's other observations, Angelina's campfire stories about Elizabeth really scared the rest of the tribe. Dan says he wants Angelina out, but he has a funny way of accomplishing it. We were right about the merge sign. It was a clue to an advantage. Davy used his mad ninja bow staff skills to distract the Goliaths from the advantage search. Based on his schoolyard picks, I'd say Mike isn't a big fan of Survivor Pizza. At the reward challenge, the Karma Fairy showed us that Dumbo Dan is all wet. First, Mike worried about Gabby's commitment to their alliance. Next, he worried about a smart, likable guy reaching Final 3. Is he a director or a projectionist? Angelina knows that deploying decoys often results in dead ducks. Some people say Alec is a dummy at strategy. This week we found out that he's actually just ventriloquism dummy. Yeah, definitely looked that way. The immunity challenge demonstrated why I never use chopsticks in restaurants. Oh, that's good. What was it? Well, we were having lunch, right? We're in the chopsticks. That's what it made me think of. All right. So, yeah, maybe you need the training wheel chopsticks for that challenge first there, Josh. Christian discovered that being a real PhD beats being an honorary brochacho. I was fascinated by the subtext of Nick and Davy's strategy chat. Davy showed Angelina how jury management is done. Yes, this point exactly, 100% right there. At Tribal, Angelina elevated Christian's threat level and her own. Davy showed Dan there's a difference between playing an idol and playing it well. Angelina confused Dan. That's good, huh? Angelina confused Dan at Tribal. Why was she begging for his jacket at a time like that? Dan. Wrestler John's finishing move is a twisty dive from the top. Then he goes splat. The Survivor gods see John go, but glad that he was such a good sport about it. Next time, Dan and Kara split, while Gabby wants Dr. Purple to come to the good side. Can the Davids work together and carve up the Goliaths like a Thanksgiving turkey? Anyway, that's it from me for now. Thanks, Joanna Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thanks, Josh. Nailed it as always. Next up, got a call from Jody.
Hi, Survivor family. It's Jody in Brisbane, and I had a rough week this week. I lost my 24-point USB, boo, who I also had safe. Boo!
Double whammy.
So, onward and upward. Haha. I thought Angelina was... She's interesting. The strategy is intact and it's all there, but she's such a game bot and so annoying that unfortunately she is right that whatever she says is going unheard. And then a man comes along with a much deeper voice and is heard by all. Hopefully she can figure out that it's not just the voice, it's also how you conduct yourself in the game. So yeah, cool. I'm wondering if Carl might have a little disaster with his nullifier. I'm wondering whether he plays it correctly, yay for Dan, against Dan rather, and maybe he ends up being the target. That would be so funny. Obviously not for him, but for me, I'd find it amusing. John was so interesting. I really enjoyed him in the game. Such a beefy looking bloke who you think is going to be a typical meathead, but comes out there with all these endearing qualities that were just so cool. I just think everyone left in the game is so interesting. Possibly not Kara, but yeah, everyone seems to have a really strong strategic game, and yeah, just enjoying this so much. I can't wait to see how they manage this week, the Davids that is. I'm really hoping that the steal works out and they can really make some magic happen. I've no idea who I'm left going for in this game, really. I mean, Christian, so cool. Gabby, love her. Mr. Schneebly, so funny. I'd love to see Dan bite the big one and exit the game. But yeah, let's see what happens now. All right, guys. Ciao, ciao.
All right. Ciao, ciao. Thanks, Jody. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. Hello, Survivor fans. This is Jeremiah. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of people want to talk about this episode because it was so great. So fantastic, right? So much came out of this episode that I don't even know where to go with, except for the fact that I'm very curious to see. I guess the biggest thing I want to talk about is Mike, because I'm still confused, just like everyone else, about why he thought this was a good move, because I feel like the strike force was a good move for him. I mean, yes, you don't want to take Christian to the end, but I'm sure a lot of people probably feel that way. You had plenty of time to still get rid of Christian. So I really feel like Mike was the big loser here in this thing. And I'm concerned about his future now. I think that he's in trouble. He's going to definitely be one of the ones they're going to target. I mean, why worry about Angelina? Let's go after the person who did successfully try to get Christian out, although unsuccessfully, shall we say. But yeah, so Mike's the one that really confused me. Obviously, I hated to see John go that way, but I also was excited to see John go that way. Wow, I mean, if you're going to go out, like you said, that's the way to go. And, I hate to see him leave, because he's been a player that I've enjoyed actually watching, and I got a lot more out of him than I thought I would. So I would definitely want to see him even come back if he wanted to. That would be great. So next time on Survivor is going to be very interesting. I think most of us are really hoping that we could see maybe a successful vote steal, right? I mean, that would be great. But I'm thinking you may not have to. I think at this point, if you're Alec, right, I think you have to join fully up with the Davids at this point, because the Goliath's going to have to realize that somehow the Davids knew about what was going to happen, because clearly they planned this. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that right before Tribal Council, Davey said, hey, I've got an idol, so let's use it. And they hashed out this plan to put 3 votes on John and 2 on Angelina. The Goliaths are going to know that someone's tipped them off, and it's probably going to be clear that it was definitely Alex. So at this point, I think the Davids will probably get Alex's vote, and they won't even need to worry about it. And now the Goliaths are in trouble. So I would agree with you guys. I think Mike might be the number 1 target for next week. But, Angelina's probably also there as well. And, of course, Dan. Dan is definitely someone they're going to probably target as well. One of those 3 people most likely is going to go home next week. All right, well, anyway, I've rambled on way too long, and I just wanted to get some feedback in. I did change my USB. I'm going with Nick, so let's see how he does. I like his position at this point. And Joanne, remind me again, who did you switch to? Maybe I missed it. I can't remember. All right, well, that's it for me. This is Jeremiah, and you guys take care.
I switched to Christian.
Yeah, good
though
choice.
I considered Nick.
She did. She wrestled with that decision.
And I thought, well, I really think Nick has a good chance. Still do. But I also thought that the editing was leaning more heavily toward Christian.
And it
he's
was.
been given so much, but that could not help me at all.
All right. Thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. Oh, my gosh. What an episode. I have to say that was one of the most exciting episodes I'd seen in a long time. Tribal Council was amazing. I really did not know what the David tribe faction was going to do. Working it out in my head, I thought that the best that they could come up with was a tie. If Nick used the steal a vote, I thought they could come out a winner if Carl used the nullifier. It never dawned on me that the David faction would be so strategically excellent that they would actually use their idols and split the vote. Absolutely amazing. After both immunity idols were played, my boys and I just screamed out loud. Screamed out loud. We did not just sit there silently and watch the TV. We were shocked and crazed, wondering what was going to happen. Actually, we were first cheering for Davy. Then we were screaming when Dan played the idol for Angelina, and we were just screaming, Carl, 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 because we wanted them to play the nullifier. But the bigger stroke of genius was splitting that vote and sending John packing. That was just an amazing, amazing moment. I am just thrilled and amazed at the strategic skills of Christian, Davy, and Nick. Now, in order to pull that off, the three of them at least had to know about Davy's idol. That's the only way a split vote would have happened or worked. Because if they weren't certain that Christian was safe, then there would absolutely be no reason to split the vote. I mean, it would just be a loser anyway, even if they voted one person. So anyway, I think it was definitely a smart move for Davy to play that idol. His and Carl's stock just went up big time with respect to the David alliance. And I think they all just solidified their trust in each other. So now where can they go from here? This is what I think could and should maybe happen. They need to target Dan in this next episode if Kara reveals to them that he has another idol. They need to target him 100%, let him know 100% he's getting the votes on him, make him play his idol, play the nullifier, but that will still make it a tie vote. So Nick's going to have to play the steal a vote. It will be 100% certainty that Dan goes home, and that the David faction now gains the numbers. Then at that point, the Davids can just pick off the Goliaths one by one, as long as everyone stays loyal, and we have not seen that yet. Actually, we are seeing it. Nick has been loyal, Christian's been loyal, they've been loyal. The Davids are really playing smart, strategic, amazing games at this point, and I'm going to count all of them in that. So I'm flip-flopping from last week. Instead of seeing the Strike Force take everybody out, now I want to see the David Underdog Alliance take all the Goliaths out to the end. That would just be amazing. But every single week has been surprising me, so I can't wait to see what happens this next week. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the States. If you are traveling, travel safely. And that's it for me till next week. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Jen.
Well, I agree with everything Jen said completely, other than they won't necessarily, it'll be tied if her scenario plays out, which I hope it does. And that they use the nullifier and all that. They're still going to be 5-5 if the Goliaths stay together, but I don't think they will, but they might, because you still have Alec, Allison, Angelina, Mike, and Kara. If you take Dan out versus the David 5, so they're still 5-5. So something else, somebody needs to get another idol, and whichever side gets the idol might get the advantage.
I think your math's off.
Why?
Because there's 11 people in the game at this point.
That's right. And if one goes home the following week, there will be 5 David and 5 Goliath.
She's talking about this week. She's talking about how it would play out this week to guarantee that Dan goes.
I know, and I said I agree with that 100%.
Okay.
Everything she said.
Oh, you're saying after that?
Yes, it's not just
my bad. I was
David's
focused on what she was talking
Goliath.
about for this week. I get you now.
Well, you were short-sighted.
Yes.
So.
I hadn't caught up with you.
Okay, but you did now?
Yeah.
It would be 5-5?
That you're it'll be 5-5 after this coming episode. That's the part that wasn't clear when you laid it out.
But
yes, I
did
get
say
that.
You're doing that selective listening thing you do again.
Is that it? All right. Well,
yeah,
thanks, Jenna. We appreciate that you took time to call out as you were on your way to your on your Thanksgiving
Absolutely.
trip.
What a fan.
Yes. Excellent. Thanks
All
again.
from the road.
Next up, we got a call from Paul. He's back from vacation.
Hey, it's Paul back in Louisiana here. And okay, first off, the edit was great. Having John ousted from out of left field was exhilarating and showcases how much better the Davids are playing this game over the Goliaths. I actually love the fact that we didn't see the split discussed. So, on to the people in the game. I do believe that Carl's importance appears to be on the rise. Aside from the fact that he has an advantage and that he and Elizabeth clashed, well, we haven't seen that much of him, and I look forward to getting to know him better. And poor Angelina, the thing is, she was right. Had they done what she suggested last week, the Goliaths wouldn't be in the mess that they're in now. But at least she's holding her tongue. But how long do you suppose that'll be kept in check? She's someone who needs the spotlight, and I think she'll be back in it again next week. And then there's Christian, who now completely understands that he's a head honcho in this game by being conceived as a threat. I just hope it doesn't go to his head. And as for people I've misjudged, well, there's Cara, who I really like now, and John, who I can't believe I'm going to say this, but who I'm sad to see go. My only beef with him was that he's got fame in his life, and I hate when people use that to climb on board Survivor. Still, he seemed like a stand-up guy to me. And then there's Mike, who was in the same boat as John. He's been on Amazing Race, been in movies, and he's a friend of Jeff's, so I started out not caring for him. But as of last week, I surprisingly grew to like him. Alas, now I've changed my mind twice about him, which is sad since he's my new USB. If I had only had one more episode before being able to switch. So Dan ended up sacrificing John for Angelina, which has to make him feel, well, you know. And that's why Cara feels, well, you know, about Dan. I think one of the reasons I like Cara so much is because she completely understands that Dan is not someone you want hanging around you. He's not a life vest. He's a ball and chain on your ankle. And Allison, where is she in all of this? I'm starting to think that there's more to her than we're seeing, and that she'll probably be the underdog that rises to the top in the end. Angelina is stealing the focus from her right now, but Angelina's time is coming to an end, which is why I'm happy I abandoned that shipwreck of a USB. But like I said, I'm not happy about my new pick. And I do wish that I went with Allison now. I just have this gut feeling about her. And isn't that what JSFL is all about? What a great episode, though. My only regret is that I would have loved to have seen Dan voted off instead of John, because who doesn't love a good case of irony? Next to go, I still feel it's Angelina, because I think that Mike will do anything to fit back in with Nick. He knows he screwed up big time, and that his game could come to an end here. I guess in the end it'll all come down to which one of them, Angelina or Mike, can beg the best without being too annoying or clingy. So I guess that's it for me. Everyone enjoy. Bye.
Oh, thanks, Paul.
Well, Allison also says in her, she's got a couple of extra clips.
Definitely worth watching.
Yeah, and she talks about wanting to get Angelina out before Angelina turns on her.
Yep.
She's 100% sure that she will.
Yep.
So she wants her out too.
And Gabby. She's worried about Gabby's repercussions also.
Well, because of, everything.
The vote towards Christian, yeah. And
breaking up the 5, going with Mike.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's a little concerned that because Gabby had so much to say with the Elizabeth vote and everything she said that night, she's afraid that Gabby's going to do that to her in Tribal.
Yeah, which is a great demonstration of what Mike was sharing also in one of his extra videos about why he lost faith in Gabby and Christian and decided to make his move. But I'm agreeing with everyone else, with Jeremiah, with Paul, all the folks there that we're talking about how Mike's in a really bad spot now. Mike, I gotta believe that some of Probst got in his head and that he heard Probst talking about making big moves and he felt like taking Christian down would be a big move, and he went for it without factoring in the repercussions. And maybe he was a little cheesed that he didn't get the pizza too. That John went
More
in his
so
place.
than he was saying, for sure.
Than he let on. Yeah.
Well, and watching them all up there, everybody in his supposed alliance
And
with
the Strike
John
Force
instead
alliance
of him.
that he right after lets go of.
So
Yes.
he might have been a little mad at all of
Yeah.
them for winning the pizza.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that I'm waiting to see if they show us what the immunity challenge is for this coming week
Mhm.
because
You're feeling that's going to really help you make your pick as to whether it's
yes,
Dan or
it's
Angelina
Dan.
going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I truly think that they should and will target Dan if there's any way possible. But if he wins, of course, they'll go a different direction.
Well, and like Paul was talking about, they may be able. I'm going to bet that Mike can pull off a better mea culpa than Angelina can, because nobody trusts or values Angelina at this point at all, from what we can see.
But that's also
But what
another
you
reason
do-
to keep her.
What you do, and she was herself struggling a lot, and I want to talk a little more about her before we wrap it up. She was struggling a lot with the decision of whether or not she should flip to the Davids in this last tribal council, and just so she could get back at the Goliaths who
Yeah, so
didn't
we
want to
know
follow her
she's
plan.
not opposed to that.
Right. So I think what would be interesting for the Davids to do, like in a most impactful way, would be, because Dan's got an idol, so he's going to panic, but you get to flesh his idol this time. Use Mike to help get rid of Angelina, and then you get rid of Mike or Dan the next time, depending on what Dan's status is. And then you will have just sort of cleaned the board with them at that point.
Okay, here's the kicker with all that. In order to play the nullifier, he has to know Dan has another idol. And we don't know that anybody knows that but Kara. They're saying nobody knows that but Kara. Now, Kara, we see in the next on Survivor, she's talking to Alec and Allison, saying, let's get Dan. Isn't that what she said? Oh, no, was that to Nick? Anyway, Kara says something about taking Dan out. But is she just trying to put the Goliath target on Dan so that Dan can play his idol and pop the Davids? She may still be with Dan, even though, so I can't rule that out 100%, that she's working the Davids, trying to get them to put all their votes on Dan so that he can play the idol and
you're talking about like in the next time on Survivor, not in the preview clip.
Next time on Survivor.
Where you see them talking to Nick, and then Nick saying, the Goliaths are lying to my face again. Yeah, that's the part you were referring to. I was thinking about the preview for the next episode, which, by the way, I know who gives us the title. I feel like 99.999% confident when I saw the title that title's coming from Christian.
And what was the title?
Breadth First Search. Okay. So it's a terminology for search algorithms.
Yeah, it meant absolutely nothing to me.
It means looking wide first at all the first level possibilities before you go to the second, third, and fourth level, which would be a depth first search. Well, in any case, I think that comes from Christian. That's the most likely answer, given that he's already outed himself as a coder.
Teasing you, baby.
Yeah, in that. So from that perspective, in any case, that could be. I thought you were referring to the part where she was talking to in the preview clip for this next episode, where she was talking to Alec and Allison, and they were making some plans, and Alec seemed to think it would be very straightforward, a cakewalk. Whatever the execution was that she was describing.
Which usually means that it won't.
It probably won't, yeah. So let's talk about Angelina for a minute. Can you... Yeah, I know, that caught you off guard, right?
Must.
Yeah. Can you come up with a scenario whereby she wins? And what would have to happen for her to win at this point in the game? She seems like the most unlikely winner, and this season's all about surprising us. So I just wanted to go there for a second.
I could see if she really made a tight bond with some of the Davids. They get out the rest of the Goliaths, and then some of the Davids want to get out some of the guys they think are more likely to win. So if she,
Christian,
worked with Carl and Gabby to get out Christian and Nick and Davey, okay, then I could see her.
And could you get behind her? Would she still be the villain winner? What would you think about the villain winner, or if somehow she had a bout of sincerity overcome her, could she end up being a hero winner, or would she be a hero winner or a villain winner in that scenario?
I don't know how people would see her, but you'd have to give her serious consideration that she went from being one of the most hated people in the game that nobody wanted to Final Three. So if she did that, I would have to seriously consider giving it to her.
Without saying it's a goat.
Saying you're a villain.
You're a goat.
Exactly.
Because you could still win as a villain.
She maneuvered her way.
Yeah.
All the way through the Goliaths and stayed in, survived them, and then maneuvered her way all the way through the Davids to get to Final Three, then yes, I think she could win. But that's about it. It's about the only scenario I could see.
It's going to have to be something super special.
I think the smoke is finally getting to our faces.
Yeah, how is it that where we live somehow ends up being scored as the most hazardous air in the world? We're like an hour south of the campfire fire up in Butte County and Paradise and the disaster that happened there. But the air quality in the valley here is just...
we've had smoke.
You're not even supposed to go outside.
No, at all. And that's for people that aren't even sensitive, which I am with asthma.
Yeah.
So. But sometimes you can't...
How do we get onto that?
The visibility, it's like everything's socked in with fog, but it's really smoke. Anyway, because my voice is going scratchier and scratchier. So I think that's what's doing it. But okay, so what scenario would you give Angelina?
Now, it's got to be something like that. It's got to be, she's got to make a turn where people think she actually is genuine. Like I said, when someone talks about how authentic they are all the time, it's a really glaring clue that they're very unlikely to be perceived that way. That try hard thing is going to get you in that case, and it just really seems to bear itself out with her.
Well, the only thing is she's smart enough, and she talks well, and she says sometimes the right things, but because she comes across as being insincere and a little arrogant,
jury management,
that
manipulative,
could, people could have.
She would have to humble herself like we have never seen in the game before. Mm-hmm. It's very unlikely, but it was just one of those things that just crept into my mind as we were going through the listener feedback this week. Is like, well, who's the most unlikely winner at this point? Well, it's absolutely Angelina.
Possibility, but not a probability.
Yes, for sure. What a fun listener feedback show. We want to thank everybody who took the time to send in their thoughts and predictions. What a blast. This was great. Thank you so much. We love hearing how you felt about the episode and how you think the season's shaping up. I want to say a big thanks to Tina in Virginia for your donation and support of the podcast expenses. Greatly, greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. We have a lot of, I don't know how I unfortunately scheduled it that way, but we got a lot of bills that hit us this time of year for different things, so that's a big help. Thank you so much. Also, big thanks to Submarize for your iTunes review. That's another excellent way to support the podcast. And was there a question there? Is that why you made that note?
Yes, wanted us to explain what USB means.
Ultimate Survivor Bonus. So it's an acronym. It's part of our fantasy league, and that's where before the season begins, you take a guess at who you think is going to win it all, who's going to be there at the end. And if you guess right, you get the biggest bonus that we offer in the
24 points.
Fantasy League. Yeah.
Though you do have a chance once during the game after the merge to choose another one for a possible 5 points if yours is out of the game, or switch if yours is still in the game and you don't think they have a chance to win, then you can change for a possible 10 points.
And yes,
to someone else.
That timing is intentional, and it makes things tense, and Paul said, you're always wanting just one more week's worth of insight before you make your decision.
I giggle all the time watching people and the things they say on the Facebook page, and how intense everything is because of their playing JSFL.
Yes, yep, absolutely. Hopefully that clears it up. And again, thank you for the review. That helps.
Yes, very much.
There's an awful lot of negative people. It seems like they're willing to invest their time. They're trolls. They like to invest their time on those iTunes reviews. So we greatly appreciate when we get someone who's actually listened and has something to say and add value. Thank you so much for that.
And if you play JSFL, don't forget to make your picks before the deadline of 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific Time on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
The day before Thanksgiving, so a lot of people probably be traveling and may not get to watch right away.
That's true. That's true.
Not us.
But that Survivor dessert will be there waiting for you when you get done with your journey. And then you can come back and share with us what you thought about that on the Listener Feedback Show on Saturday. But we'll be here with the recap come Wednesday, and we look forward to sharing the next stage in this season with you.
All right. Have a great weekend.